Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. It's off. I put a second layer of shade netting on there as that heat wave sort of kicked in to try and literally not reduce the light. I didn't want to do that, but to try and stop the heat. That layer of shade netting was about 6 inches away from this layer of shade netting that's still there, and it made quite a big gap, so that gave me an airflow and additional shading. The hottest part of the day is at this end, and I've just sort of thought that as the season creeps on, why have I still got that shade netting on? So I've just taken that down, leaving just the single layers now. And what I'm watching out for now is, oh, you can't see very well, as the sun comes round through that bit, yeah, that big tree's in the way, and soon the sun will be dropping down behind there. So from just after midday to sort of well into the afternoon, the sun will be behind a tree. Now that reduces the light level in here quite a bit, you know. So getting that shade netting off is about the right time. I didn't put it on last year. Last year I went with single shade netting on those two ends for the whole year. But this year's been a bit different. In fact, it's been very different. So it's off now. That'll stay off well until well into next year. If I even need it next year, we'll see how that season goes. And the next thing to do is get this whitewash stuff off. But not just yet. What happens over this side is the sun comes round through that gap, yeah, and starts to set. Well, eventually it sets before it hits this glass, and as soon as I get to that point, that white stuff just brushes off with a cloth. It's strange stuff. You mix it with water, paint it on, and it gives you that, you know, sort of shading. It doesn't stop that much heat coming through, I must admit. But this is only late afternoon sun round here. But it just wipes off with a cloth, and yet it's waterproof. Once it dries, it just gets rained on and makes no difference. So you just wipe it off with a cloth. It comes off like chalky dust. So that will come off soon, and that will let a lot more evening light in, which is very low level sun. There's not really any heat in it, but yeah, so that will come off when I get round to it. Getting fog here. Yeah, so subtle changes, you know, and as I said, I want to try and keep the light levels up in here. So that second layer, I'd forgotten it was there, basically. I just thought about it today. So that's gone now, so it's automatically brighter in here. So even now, with the sun behind the clouds, it still feels lighter and airier and brighter, so that's good stuff. So as the seasons go, things will gradually change. It'll get to the point initially, I know this is the strongest part of the sun, but because of that tree, this will be the first shade netting to come off, leaving just this, which is where the morning and very early afternoon sun comes in. So that will stay for a bit yet. A lot of that is because of what lives in front of it, like all of my Masdevallias and Restrepias. But over here, once that sun starts going behind that tree, it's low enough in the sky that by the time it comes out from behind the tree, it's going to set just there. Now that's happened year on year, so I don't need to predict that. That's how it's going to be. So that's the last little bit of the sun of the afternoon, and the plants can take that. That's weak sun. So what is it now? Coming in, heading into September at a reasonable rate. Probably another 4 weeks, maybe 6 weeks, depends on the type of weather we get. Then this will come off, and then once we get into usually the beginning of December, although I say usually, last year was the first year I took all the shade netting off, but I'm going to do it again because it did my dendrobiums and quite a few of the other plants the world of good. And things like the Masdevallias and the Restrepias didn't mind, because it's, you know, once the sun starts, I'm still getting some sun in through the roof, but eventually that sun will be so low in the sky it hits the roof at an angle and it doesn't really come in the roof anymore. It comes in mainly through the side windows, and at that point it's starting to get weak. and the winter sun in this country is weak. It really is. Like putting a 40-watt bulb on in your toilet, you know, or in your bathroom. You've got a job to see to shave. Yeah, changes afoot, and I want to try and keep my light levels as high as possible without being silly and actually burning anything. So, yep, that's the start. First layer of shade netting off. Felt good just taking that off, and I came straight in here and I thought, yeah, that's brighter. That's good. That's a nice, buoyant, bright feeling. So again, keep your eye on your places you grow your orchids as the seasons change. Just keep your eye on things. Don't let your mind forget that as the seasons change, your approach to where you're keeping your orchids, you know, if you're growing in the home, how far away from the glass are they? Were they moved back because the sun was so strong? Well, as that sun gets weaker, they might need to go back towards the glass a bit. Yeah? Just think about where your plants are relative to the light levels at this time of year. It's quite important to keep the light levels up where they need to be for those higher light orchids and take the maximum advantage of this late part of the growing season. You know, really get that last bit of growth into your plants before we end up into the dull, miserable, wet winter with silly little short days where things just don't grow much at all. Seems a long way away, but it will creep up on us. See you next time.